Or if I'm here, it's probably a lot better than the way I started. I'm sure it could be better as well. And while you're, when you're in a session, you're guiding them with your words, so they can tell where you're at in the space. Like they can, and there's a lot of practitioners that I've seen when they're guiding breathwork, they have like a mound of pillows, and they just like seated here next to them the whole time guiding them, which to me, when you move through the space, it just changes what you see. There's been a lot of times where one time I was guiding a session, and I'm guiding this woman through the session, and every time I'm like, I can see that there's tears starting to bubble up, something's starting to move in their system, and the closer that I get to her, I'm like, just taking one step, and every time I move a little bit closer, it starts to go away as I'm guiding her. And so I'm like, well, what happens when I'm guiding the session and I just start moving away? And I'm guiding the session from like back here. Every time I took a step backward, it actually allowed her to go deeper into it. She didn't want me all up in her business, right? So where you're at in the space changes things. And so while you're moving through the space, those three potentials are also happening. Like it's taking them deeper, it's taking them out. How high or low you are as well. Like if I'm here guiding him versus if I'm here guiding him, that feels different to them. It feels a lot different. And the rule of thumb is the closer that I get to them, the lower I need to be. Now, if you're doing a one-on-one session and you want to use a massage table, that's totally fine as well. I've found that the ground is better because it allows them to kind of have more freedom to move around versus being on a massage table. It's it's probably better and easier for you as a practitioner, unless you're flexible and you're cool moving around the ground. But where I'm at in the space changes things. So my default state is what? First one? Space. And then I have sound, right? So as I'm moving closer to him and I'm guiding him through the session, he's obviously going to hear me guiding through my cues. But if I want to get closer to him and let him know where I'm at in the space, especially in a group session, because if the music's loud, they oftentimes can't hear things, and you don't want to just sneak up on them. I'll usually use my breathing sounds to let them know where I'm at in the space. So as I'm moving closer to him, I can just let his nervous system know that I'm next to him by just using breathing sounds. And I'm not like, and so you might have to practice this, but there's a way to make your breathing sounds more audible without you getting lightheaded yourself. We all have different teeth shapes, but I kind of use my front teeth to just make it more audible. That's obviously not how I'm breathing all the time, but I can make it more audible and make it sound louder so that they can hear me. I can match his breathing. I can raise him 10% in that breath. Space, sound. The next one is words. And then, I can let him know with words. Breathe all the way into the belly. I let him know with words, breathe all the way into the belly, and then my hand can land on the belly. Right? It's actually a big difference, like energetically, if I do this and then say breathe into the belly. So I say breathe all the way into the belly. And then my hand can just land there. Now, everyone's belly's different. Everyone's clothing is different. Some of us have high-waisted pants where the belly is below the waistband. So how I kind of tell where the belly button is at, because you want your hand kind of just right over the belly button. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll look for these nice rib bones here. And then if you see the rib bones, you just kind of fall off the rib bones right underneath, and you'll land right on the belly button. Now from here, then I can go back to matching his breath. That's it. Stay with that rhythm right there. Keep going. And I can give a couple verbal commands there. You know, this, just putting my hand on someone's belly will lead to so much more. Sometimes just my hand on them other things will start to come up and out, and then the body will start moving. But I'm just using my hand as a feedback tool for him to become more aware of his belly. Say he's gotten into a nice breathing rhythm now. Now, just as I worked my way through the order of operations, space, sound, words, touch, I'm going to work my way out of those as well. So I'm not just going to take my hand off and, run away. I want to work my way out of them as well. So my hand's on his belly. He's gotten into a nice breathing rhythm. I can just use my words and slowly take my hand off. That's it. Stay with that right there. See if you can expand a little bit more. And as I'm ready to kind of just give him his space back, I can match the sound. And then I can just go back to guiding the session. Now, a lot of the times, if I get to the point of having my hand on their belly, other stuff will come up and there'll be other little things that will follow. And as we continue today, we're going to add lots of things to this. But I just want to do one easy round of just practicing moving through each of those, because each one is it's like a checkpoint. It's a checkpoint for you as a practitioner to know that you've kind of earned the next one. And everything's slow and subtle. And just as you move through each of those, you can just continue to listen. This is where the attunement practice comes in, because you'll see different things go on as you move closer or further. And the more that you see and notice and sense, the more you'll see little doorways into other things that want to kind of come up. Okay? So we're just going to practice this for a moment, and then we'll come back, we'll do another demo, and then we'll add to it.